Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another session of ENG4E Term 2A. I'm your instructor, Mike Laverty, delivering you another great session from Wausau Distance Education Center. So today's date is February 17th. So I was unfortunately sick and not able to come into the office for my Wednesday and my Thursday classes. So, I woke up this morning feeling kind of stressed out that, I'm kind of falling behind, but then I kind of got some perspective and just said, I just gotta take this one day at a time and, just keep doing what I do. So, I know that sometimes you may feel the same way in your life if you're struggling to keep up with your assignments, and, it's just best to just tackle it a little bit at a time. And so that's what we're doing here today. So we're on class number 7. We're still on unit 1, and today we're going to finish off our unit assignment. So key questions 17 through 21. So just wanted to say that I'm here to support my students and whatever place they may be in their life. I know life gets hard, and I think my life, certainly other people have it a lot harder than I do, but I'm just sympathetic to that, and just wish everybody is doing well out there. And hopefully you can find someone to talk to if you're kind of struggling, and you can work through any problems you have. So reach out to me if you got any questions about the course, life in general. That's what I'm here for. So I'd love to hear from each and every one of my students. And of course, just reading your stuff. I love reading your work. I love seeing other writers' work, seeing what they're up to. It always makes me feel good, kind of gives me a good feeling. So let's keep things going. So here we are. Just wanted to mention that Wausau has a Facebook page, and I wanted to suggest that you join it. So if you're on Facebook, make sure you join the Wausau Facebook page, get lots of updates, add myself, Laverty Wausau, as a friend on Facebook. And I put out, I try not to put out too much. I don't want to fill up your Facebook feed, but, once a week or so, maybe once or twice a week at most, I put out some friendly reminders and things you could look at, things like that. So graduation day is June 15th, 2023. So I guess a pre-congratulations to all the people who are getting there, who are on pace to graduate. So good luck with the future. Good luck achieving your dreams. And for those who, aren't on pace to graduate at the end of this term, but are still moving ahead on their journey. So I want to give a big shout out to those people who are putting the work in, putting the time and energy into getting their diploma. I think it's awesome. It's inspiring. So keep going. Just keep doing it one class at a time, one course at a time. You've got me in your corner. I believe in you. I know you can do it. And, you do it one assignment at a time. That's all you can really do. So, and that's my job. I'm here to walk you through these assignments and give you some guidelines, some feedback, and just ways to keep pushing forward and moving towards that goal of graduating. There's no broadcast or class on February 20th. That's this coming Monday because of Family Day. So there's no class then. So looking at our course schedule, this seems to be right on track. We'll start Unit 2 next week and finish Unit 1 this week, and then keep progressing throughout the rest of the course. There are many ways you can watch and listen live to the course. So if you're watching this on YouTube, just know that usually it's Monday through Thursday, Monday to Thursday, 2 to 2:55 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will broadcast live on the radio for ENG4E. You can phone into the studio at 1-800-465-7144 or 737-4017. So you can tune into the studio and then phone us, or just listen on 91.9 FM. And you can also watch on Bell ExpressVu channel 972, or listen, I guess. It's just an audio station, basically. And if you're on Zoom, you can go to zoom.us and type in the meeting ID, which is 417-669-9799. So if you don't already know, you can find all of my classes for ENG4E on YouTube. You'll find, so what you'll do is you'll find courses that I taught last term. So my OLC 4.0 course is up there, all 36 classes. And then you'll find the most latest classes of ENG4E and ENG3E, which I'm teaching this term in 2A. So they're all there, organized into playlists to make it easier for you to find what you need. Most important thing is to talk to your DEC if you're still unsure about handing in your work. Just if you're on YouTube, pause that screen. That's how you do it. That's how you get the work in. But if you have any questions, reach out to someone. They're here to help. Also wanted to mention that it's best to hand in your work in small batches, like 5 to 10 assignments. So that allows me to provide you with feedback quickly and then to guide any future work you may do. And be sure to write down your name, community, course code, and the assignment information. And then I should note that this goes to, or one large assignment, such as your culminating. The culminating activity, like for example, like unit 1 is worth 80 marks. So it's a big chunk of your grade, and it's good to get feedback on that. So like it's going to take me a long time to go over your culminating activity. Well, not like a long time, but like longer than a regular assignment. So but like the main thing here is to like, don't worry about sending me too little work, right? It seems weird for a teacher to say, don't give me too much work, but it's like, just space it out, like just do 5 at a time, upwards of 10 at the most, and just do those assignments, hand them in. And then that way I'm giving you feedback quickly. It allows me, I can mark it faster, get it back to you. And then as soon as you've got that stuff back, I want you to apply those lessons to your next activities and your next assignments, right? Right, and write down your name, where you're from, your community, give me the course code and any assignment information as much as possible. That's my contact information on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, just pause that. This is all found in your study guide. Monday through Friday, 9 till 3 is when you want to contact me. That's the best time to contact me because I can get back to you immediately. So here's your next steps. This is where you should be in the course. So reaching out to me, your teacher, letting me know you're out there, you're taking the course. Let me know if you need any course material. I want you to read the study guide and unit 1, read it all the way through. Read chapters 1 and 2. Starting in next week, we're going to be delving into unit 2, where we discuss the novel Where the Rivers Meet and complete key questions 1 through 10. So this is my suggested progress for you. So you're taking ENG4E. You're about 2 weeks, not quite into the course. This is where you should be. This is the amount of work you should have put in. And if you feel that you can't commit to that timeline, then you may have too much going on in your life. Okay, so I think it's just being realistic with your time and your energy, right? So that's something I've struggled with my whole life, is time management and knowing how much time I can commit, and maybe saying yes to too many things. And like, you want to graduate, but maybe you're enrolled in too many courses, or I don't know, but just like you really got to have an honest look on like, how much can I do? And if you can complete like every week, if you can complete like, you know, half of a unit, that's great, because that's the timeline we're working on here, right? Like every couple of weeks we're doing 1 unit, right? So you need to be able to get through a whole unit in 2 weeks, right? And that includes the culminating, right? So you gotta just stay with us. And when I'm talking about unit 2, you should be almost done unit 1, right? And when I'm talking about unit 3, you should have units 1 and 2 completed, right? So just a way to keep you on track, and you got to keep yourself accountable. And if you're anything like me, if you don't make yourself accountable, it's not going to happen, right? So you have to impose some deadlines on yourself, and that's, at least that's for me, it's the only way it ever happened for me. So we're going to look at an article of the day. We're going to talk a little bit more about commas. And we talked a little bit about synonyms, antonyms, and homonyms in our last class, but just want to finish that discussion off. And we will do a breakdown of key questions 17 through 21. So you got many learning goals today. So learning how to use subjects, verbs, objects are used to build a sentence, learning about the proper use of commas, exploring the difference between synonyms, antonyms, and homonyms. So a synonym is a a synonym is a similar word, right? An antonym is an opposite word. And a homonym is a word that sounds the same or is spelt the same, but it's got a very different meaning. Carefully read several key questions. And if you can do all of that, then you will use your knowledge of sentence building, homonyms, synonyms, antonyms, and commas to complete key questions 17 through 21. So you're getting the understanding first, you're solidifying things you already know, you're adding on to your knowledge of things that you didn't know, and you're preparing yourself to answer the key questions. So here we go. Let's dive into those key questions. So, all right, let's look at our article of the day. So this one is called, the title of the article, which is of course, is when we in a news report, is called a headline. So the headline of the story is why so many retirees are writing memoirs. And this is from Dene Moore. So this is our headline. And this right here is called the byline. So the byline is who wrote it, when they wrote it, and where they published it. So it's Dene Moore published it in the Globe and Mail on June 28th, 2022. So I try to pick some recent articles that, you know, have been in the media, you know, in the past few months, try to keep things current. And I try to show you real world examples of writing that's published in, you know, probably the most read magazines across Canada. It's got to be up there with the Globe and Mail. Trying to think of the other ones. The National Post and Winnipeg Free Press, Chronicle Journal are more like specific, but the Globe and Mail is like a national newspaper. So it's the writing standards are pretty high. So if you want to get published in them, you got to know your stuff, but that's what we're looking at today. And the photo credit at the bottom. So, sorry, the caption is Judy Malusik in Vancouver on June 21st, and Daryl Dick is that's the photo credit. So that's the person who took the photograph. All right, so we're just reviewing our 9 parts of speech. So I've color coded everything for you. So we've got yellow is the adverbs. That's why and so. The orange is for adjectives. I've got blue for nouns, retirees, and memoirs, and green is for the verbs, are and writing. So let's have a look at those. So we've been talking about subject, verbs, and objects. So I just want to clarify that again for anyone out there. So it's very technical, and, you know, I want to emphasize that, you know, like good writing is good writing because it makes you feel a certain way, and the writer uses lots of description, and it makes you think. But, you do have to pay attention to the technical details to make that happen, right? So, when I think about writing and reading, I don't get excited about adverbs and adjectives, and you know what I mean? I really get excited about ideas and like things I've read about and using my imagination. But when you want to communicate what's on your mind, then it does pay off to look at the technical ways of doing that, right? And again, it's like being a musician, right? Like it's good to study music theory, right? If you want to be a better musician, but you still have to have that passion for just stories and just love stories and hearing stories. So that, and like the more technical side of it, they're two different parts, but I think they both kind of talk to each other. Yeah, I just want to say that, that writing is definitely not just grammar. And I know this can be a little bit hard for some people to get through, but I really want you to keep an open mind about this part of the chorus. Okay, so if we look at this bottom half here, retirees are writing memoirs. The subject of my article is right there, right? So this is my subject, okay? This is what the article is about. So retirees are writing memoirs. That could be a sentence, right? Now, when I add then I have the word many. So it's many retirees. So the adjective many is modifying the noun retirees, which is also my subject, right? So, but then I have the word so it's so many. So it's like, to have many retirees is something, but to have so many means that there's like more than usual, right? And then we have the word why at the top, okay? And that word why kind of modifies the whole meaning of the sentence. So why so many retirees are writing memoirs, right? So retirees are writing. So writing is the main verb. Are is the helper verb that makes it happen. It's an auxiliary or a helping verb. And what they're doing is writing memoirs. So that's the object, right? So just so we can see how that actually plays out in a sentence. So it's hard to learn these terms, but if you know what they are, that's the object, right? And then this would be our predicate. That's what is said about the subject. They are writing memoirs. But then we have these modifying words, why so many? And that just changes the whole meaning of the sentence. So it's not just simply that retirees are writing memoirs. This is going to be an exploration of why so many of them are doing that. All right, so let's jump into the article itself. So Judy Omalusik has some shocking stories to tell from her nearly 8 decades on this earth. So it's starting off with a bang. It's starting off with a hook, right? So it's trying to get the reader's attention. We have the adjective shocking that modifies the noun stories. So that gets your attention. It started in her 20s when she discovered her adoptive mother was, in fact, her grandmother, and the girl she knew as her sister growing up was really her birth mother. She also has survived different types of abuse over many decades. All right, so we've gotten some really interesting details about this woman. So they're grabbing your attention, and we've got like a main character, and we've got a little bit of her story. Now a widow, the 79-year-old spent several hours a day, 5 days a week, writing her memoir. She wants her own 2 children, her family, and her friends to know her story and what her journey has meant to her. If it ever finds a larger audience, that's just a bonus. It's been a very cathartic journey, she says. I don't think things like this should be kept a secret because I live with secrets for so many years, and it's just very healthy to unload. So the word cathartic is, catharsis is a purging or a letting go of feelings, emotions, thoughts, or like energy that's like inside you. And when you release it through catharsis, you release it in like an artistic way. So whether by writing, singing, dancing, sculpting, painting. I would argue that catharsis it's not just strictly in the art world too. I think if you do things with your hands, like if you build something, if you make something, sometimes you just wash the dishes or do some laundry, and it's just like that can be cathartic if while you do it, you process some emotions, but like it's getting things out, not holding them in, right? That's what catharsis is. Miss Omalusa started her memoir in earnest in February, writing in longhand and sending the pages to her sister-in-law to type up. Her goal is to finish the manuscript soon. She plans to print copies in book form for her son, daughter, and others in her immediate circle, and possibly submit her story for publication somewhere. But her main goal is to share the memoir with her loved ones, which now includes the dozens of cousins and relatives through her father, who she finally located and met in 1996 when she was 54. So didn't meet her birth dad until she was almost a senior citizen. So interesting woman, interesting story. And that's just setting the tone for the larger piece, right? Because as you said, it's going to be about retirees. This is one of them, right? So instead of writing about retirees in general and writing about memoirs in general, the author has gotten very specific and talked about one retiree's one memoir, but then explain that in many details, just so to get your attention and tell a little mini story. So very effective writing, very well done. All right. So we've got about half an hour here, so that should be plenty to get through all of these unit assignments. All of your key questions from Unit 1 of ENG4E. So key question 17, using a thesaurus, part 1. Add 2 synonyms for each of the following words. So in our last class, I demonstrated how to, use the thesaurus.com. So there's a couple ways you can do this. So if you go to if you type in dictionary, dictionary.com comes up first. When you're on dictionary.com, you've got thesaurus.com right there. So you can toggle between them. It's kind of handy. So you have thesaurus.com and we have dictionary.com. So a dictionary is a list of words with their definitions and sometimes their word origins, and it tells you what type of word it is. Like our word of the day here, for example, is syzygy. That's the phonetical pronunciation. So a syzygy is an alignment of 3 celestial objects as the sun, the earth, and the moon. I can find out the word origins. I've got a YouTube video explaining that term. So yeah, I've got lots of stuff in there. But I want to go to thesaurus.com. And if I go back to my, we have first, last, and proceed. So I won't do that one exactly for you, but I will do, let's do heal as a word. Well, not head, I want heal. So up in the top corner, you'll see the definition. So cure or recover, that's what I was looking for. So I've got some synonyms. You see they're color coded here. So like the darker the color, the closer the matches. So remember, synonym is a together word. So they're together. It's not same. Some people don't make that distinction, but it's not the same, right? It's not the same. If 2 words had the same definition, then it's usually the same word. And two words can have the same definition, but usually the reason why we have a different word is because it's a slightly different meaning, right? So alleviate, fix, improve, mend, rebuild, reconcile, regenerate, rehabilitate, rejuvenate, revive, restore, repair, soothe, settle, treat. So I like soothe and rejuvenate. Those are two nice words. I like those, right? So I'd probably go with those, right? So so I would do let's see, if my word is heal, then I will do soothe and regenerate. And that's it. I'm just adding 2 synonyms for each one of those words. Okay, part 2. Give a synonym for each of the following words and then use the synonym in a sentence. So we have truthful and we have fix, right? So if the word was said and my synonym was claimed, then I can say, I claimed that I had received the check for $50 in the mail. Okay, so let's say that let's say my word is heal. And then in this case, I could, let's do fix. Let's do alleviate and treat. That's what I'm going to do. Alleviate and treat. Okay. So heal is my word. I've got alleviate and treat. Use, and then after a sentence for each one. So the nurse alleviated my pain by giving me a Tylenol. Okay. And my grandfather said you can treat bug bites with raspberry leaves, which he did. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. It was either that or like hornet stings. Like it was one of those things that he thought you could do, right? So that's how you do it, right? So for truthful, you write 2 synonyms. For fix, you write 2 synonyms, and then you write a sentence for each, right? So you're going to have 4 synonyms and 4 sentences for this assignment. All right, part 3. Use antonyms of the boldface words below to complete these sentences. An example has been completed for you. So the example was, we started the season as champions, but finished out of the playoffs, right? Right. Do I have that right? Sorry, I'm just questioning how that looks because that's not really. And I got my assignment in front of me here. Just bear with me. Let's look. So. Okay. Right. Okay, so we started the season as champions, but we finished out of the playoffs. Okay, so in this case, so it's going to be a pair of words, right? So started and finished. Finished is the antonym of started. It's the opposite meaning, right? So we quickly boarded the plane. And so the antonym of quickly would be, right, slowly, right? If a story has a sad beginning, find the antonym of sad and then finish the sentence. We must succeed in finishing our assignment, or we will, what's the opposite of succeed, right? So find the exact opposite of that word. Okay, quickly is an adverb. It modifies how you boarded the plane. So I would do an adverb. What adverb is the opposite of quickly? Sad is an adjective that modifies beginning. So a sad beginning, what's the opposite of a sad beginning? And then succeed is a verb. What's the opposite of the word succeed? Okay, find out the antonym and then complete the sentence. Write sentences using the following pairs of antonyms. So smile, frown, fast, and slow. Let's see if I did let's try another one. Okay, let's just say, for example, if C was light and dark, then my sentence could be, you know, we waited in the dark talking about what happened. I couldn't wait to see the first light and start another day. So there's my sentence, right? So I've got light and dark in the same sentence, okay? So technically I've got two things that could stand alone as a sentence, but I've used my trusty friend, the semicolon, so you can do that too. Or it can be something even simpler, like when I sketched for my art class, I used a dark outline. I used a dark outline and how about when I designed my logo, I used a dark green outline and a light gray, and how about a light red fill for the letters. So there you go, light and dark. Rewrite the following lines using antonyms to give the opposite meaning. The first sentence has already been done for you as an example. 2 marks. I was satisfied with my pay. It was the most my employer would give me. With it, I can buy almost anything I want. So I was satisfied with my pay. I was dissatisfied with my pay. So to make things the opposite, we're looking at descriptive words like most. My employer, so it was the most my employer would give me. It was the what's the antonym of most? You know, some words have very obvious opposite meanings. With it, I can buy almost anything I want. So, you know, what's the opposite meaning of that? If you can buy almost anything you want, then you can almost buy nothing. You're right. So just flip it, right? So using antonyms give the opposite meaning. So take the word satisfied, give the antonym. Take the word most, give an antonym. What's the opposite of anything, right? So just flip the meaning, right? Give a homonym, same spelling or pronunciation for each of the following words. An example has been completed for you. So and so, okay? So just give me another spelling of bear, another spelling of your, another spelling of mist, right? Another spelling of plane, higher, right, or him, right? So just, you know, if you write it, if you type it into, you know, just think of a different word that sounds the same, right? Or, right? Okay, so do that, and then just thinking if we can spend more time on that, but I think that should be pretty self-explanatory, right? So just come up with one homonym for each word, okay? So you'll have 8 in total, okay? For use each of the following homonym pairs in a sentence. So week, Sunday, Sunday. Let's see, there's one we didn't do here. Let's do, okay. So for this one, we could do, you know, I read my son 2 books last week, and he said he wants to read one on his own too. So I've got read and read. Okay, so spell the same way but pronounce differently, right? We read a book about bees, and he wants to be a better person. Or no, he wants to be a bee, be a bee for Halloween. So there you go, be a bee, right? So there we go. So we got B and B sound the same, spelled differently, right? Different meanings, right? So words that sound the same, right, or have different pronunciations. You know, they're spelled the same and pronounced differently, or they're spelled the same way and pronounced differently, right? So that's the key thing, is they have a different sound to them, right? All right, commas. So we're talking about commas here, okay? So we use commas for many reasons in our writing. They set up introductory phrases, they separate items in a list, they add information about nouns, set up quotations, etc. Trying to get rid of that. There we go. So I want to talk about introductory phrases of words. So many introductory phrases include prepositions like after, during, while. So after we arrived in Winnipeg, comma, while many people said the restaurant was terrible, comma, during the construction of the house, comma. So that, pay attention to phrases like that, especially when they start with a preposition. So prepositions are times like after, during, and while. And they're also location, like under, over, top, across, beside. So sometimes the introductory part of the sentence is only one word or two, and we still use commas to separate them. So words like however, for example, unfortunately, those have a comma that come after them, right? So they're introductory phrases or just introductory words. So they're always offset by a comma to show that the ideas are connected, but they're not dependent on each other. So here's some example on how we have used introductory clauses. So in India, cows are sacred animals. According to my mother, Madonna is more talented than Lady Gaga. At the end of the day, I was completely exhausted. So here's a helpful hint. If you can move the introductory phrase to the end of the sentence and the sentence still makes sense, the comma is in the right place. So cows are sacred animals in India. Madonna is more talented than Lady Gaga, according to my mother. There shouldn't be a comma there. I messed that up. I was completely exhausted at the end of the day, so there should not be a comma in those two. Just ignore those commas. But you could just simply take the part before the comma, put it after at the end of the sentence, and the sentence will still make sense. Then you know you put the comma in the right spot. We do have noun phrases or appositives. So they so Connor McDavid, comma, the NHL's current point leader, comma, is the captain of the Edmonton Oilers. So we could read that sentence without the stuff in blue, but it gives us more information. My sister wants to get a tattoo of Artemis, the Greek goddess of hunting. So a bull moose, the biggest they had seen all weekend, comma, stepped into the road just as they were packing for home, right? So we use commas to give more information about a noun. We've gone over this, right? The fanboys are coordinating conjunctions. So that's another very popular use of commas. Which leads me to assignment 18, okay? So remember, phrases like once upon a time, these are important to have commas after. That's an introductory phrase. So look out for introductory phrases in these assignments. I also want you to look at when someone is talking, because that's often needs a when we write dialogue, My brother walked up to me and said, comma, and said, it's snowing outside, right? But in any case, so before you introduce dialogue, you put a comma, right? So there should be a comma before someone has spoken, right? Should go before the quotation mark. At that moment, someone spotted smoke. Immediately, the villagers jumped on their horses and headed to the liar's farm. Sure enough, what he said was true. With great haste, the villagers formed a line to help extinguish the flames. Luckily, the boy's father had already saved the animals. This frightening incident convinced the child that lying was a terrible habit. And another useful thing is if you can identify the subject of the article. The boy's father had already saved the animals. So the subject is boy's father. What he did was saved animals. Luckily is like an extra part of that sentence. It does change the meaning of the sentence. It's an adverb in this case that changes the whole meaning of the sentence. If we look at this last sentence, so this frightening incident, if we put a comma there, then we would have convinced the child that lying was a terrible habit. So convince the child that lying was a terrible habit is not a complete sentence. It can't stand alone. So everything in between commas, like it should be, if I put a comma after the word incident, it makes it a split. It's a split sentence, right? And so the comma doesn't help there, right? So, so find out where you need to put commas at the start of the sentence. Ask yourself, is this an introductory clause? Does it need to go here? Shortly thereafter, he found new ways to amuse himself: singing, drawing, and fishing. Okay, so we didn't talk about that, but commas need to go in lists. So we've got a list there, right? So let's get some commas there. Let this true story serve as a warning to all inclined to tell tall tales. Nobody believes a fibber. Each person, therefore, should find amusement in harmless activities. All right, so just 18 marks on that one. You've got to add the commas. Where should they go? So they're going to go, after introductory words and phrases. They're going to go in lists, and they're going to go before someone speaks. They're going to go before quotation marks. Right, and after, if the sentence doesn't end. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. That's the three main reasons you're gonna find you're gonna use commas in this exercise. So after introductory phrases and words, in lists, and before someone speaks. Or after, if the sentence does not end right there. Okay, double negatives include no, not, nobody, nothing, none, never, hardly, scarcely. So we're trying to avoid the use of double negatives, okay? So for this assignment, I would suggest you just simply read it out loud. So I didn't see nothing. I didn't see anything. We could hardly see through the fog. We couldn't hardly see through the fog. She did not have anything. She did not have nothing to read. And just think about the literal meaning, right? So if someone has nothing to read, right? She did not have anything to read. Think of the literal meaning. If you have nothing to read, then you have something to read. if she couldn't eat anything, then she could eat nothing, right? But we're literally saying, you know, we should, I'll give you the first one. She could not eat anything, right? And so the double negative, so could not and nothing, there's two no's in there, okay? Not see and nothing. So avoid the double negative. So just pick the option that's not stacking the negative on top, okay? So I cannot find, and no, that's two negatives, right? So avoid the double negative, right? And so if you're unsure of yourself on question 19, just ask yourself, am I only using one negative? If you're using one negative, that means you're on the right track. If you stacked up two negatives, that's the double negative. So don't do that. I think you'll do just fine there. All right, missed words. So for this assignment, you're looking at two passages and you're trying to identify the words that make the sentences incorrect, okay? So so they're words that are often confused with other words, right? So so words like your and there, right? So you're trying to identify words that just sound the same out loud, but can be taken different way, right? So your, it's, there, look at through, right? So you have to find the words that can be told both ways, right? So anytime you come across a word that could be pronounced a different way or spelled a different way, pay attention and ask yourself, okay, is it one of those words? And then use the chart provided in your unit guide to make the corrections, okay? Key question 21, okay, the best word. Actually, no, we're doing okay for time here. You know, so I would recommend for this one, you're going to pay attention to the words that are brought up in your guideline, right? But there are, you know, commonly these would include like it, which is it is. And, you know, it's equals belongs to it. We've got ones like, you know, they are equals they are, you know, it belongs to them, and there, which is, you know, over there, a location, an adverb. So that's the kind of words we're thinking about, okay? That are going to be here, okay? So, and when you do this assignment, it's really going to help if you can read it out loud to yourself, and that's when you're going to find the mistakes, okay? So when your eyes are looking at the word and then you say it out loud, that's when you're probably going to catch the connection. And I would pay attention to the theirs, the its, the yours, right? So think about that, you know, like and so pay attention to those ones, okay? Those are the big ones that come up quite a bit. And if you can master that distinction, if you know the difference, then you'll be well upon your path to figuring this out. Okay, key question 21. Choose one of the following words for each blank, bad or badly. Identify the word in the sentence it modifies by underlining it. Okay, so you blank look today. So he did blank on the test. I think I had the blank in the wrong spot there. Oh no. Oh, I did, right. So that it should be you look blank today. Okay, so for this one, I want to keep track of a few things. So bad is usually an adjective, and badly is an adverb. So it's bad is usually describing a noun, and an adverb is, describing an action or a state of being. So he did, so did is a verb, right? So you got to ask yourself, like, is bad or badly, what is it modifying? So it's modifying how someone did on a test, right? So you can do poorly on tests, or you can do badly on a test. So I'll give you that one, right? So I felt, do you feel bad about your grades, or do you feel badly about your grades? This change is badly needed, or this change is bad needed. Sometimes it just sounds wrong when you say it. She sang so bad that most of the audience left during the intermission. So that's the distinction, right? So find out what word is being modified. So I would say, step one, figure out which word in the sentence is being modified. Okay. Is that word, or maybe words, a noun or a verb? Use the noun, use the adjective bad if you are modifying a noun, and use the adverb badly if you are modifying a verb. Okay, so that's really what you're doing there, is just asking yourself, like, is it a what's being modified, and know that bad is usually is an adjective that modifies nouns, and adverb modifies how something is done. Okay, and then for this one, we have, okay, where's my annotates? I need to select. So in this case, we've got, oh, excuse me. We have real, and really. Okay. So, excuse me. So real, or sorry, really is an adverb describing an action or state of being. Okay. And real is an adjective. And it's describing nouns. Okay, so figure out which word is to be modified. Let's see. So she is a nice person. So we're modifying a so are we modifying a noun, or are we modifying is she a real princess, right? Well, I should mention that sometimes they describe adjectives too. But keep that in mind, right? So the word really can describe, you know, that's a really dark painting, right? So it's the word dark is an adjective that describes a noun, and then really is describing the adjective, right? So she is a really nice person, right? Because really is actually modifying the adjective. He wrote a blank good paper about Canadian democracy, right? So what's being modified, paper or good? That's really important, right? Is that painting a blank Picasso? Okay. So hopefully that steers you in the right direction. That is unfortunately all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you for class 8 when we delve into the culminating assignment.